the first thing we do is to survey the text. Okay. So this is how I survey. I say the use of feeding tubes in pediatrics. Okay. So feeding tubes, pediatrics. These are the main words. Okay. Text A. So is most common route. So it says what it is. Specific pediatric issues. Okay. So it talks about some issues.
Yes.
So I go to the next part, inserting. Okay, so that is inserting. And there are two types, wide and fine. Okay. And so this is about the sizes.
Yes.
All right. And this is the procedure, how they do it. Okay. Text C is estimate, measure, insert fully, confirm document, aspirate the syringe, and there is a flow chart. Okay, so it's making sure aspirate obtained, making sure that it is in the right place probably, and text D administering feeds and fluids, how these are used. Okay, just this is our survey. So we have a quick look and see what is what. Okay, so in general, what we have is text A talks about the NG tube, pediatric NG tube, and issues, right? Text B is about the sizes, and then the procedure, how we insert it. Okay. I'm rewarding these for myself. And text C is a flowchart which is probably about making sure it is in the right place. And text D is about the feeds. Okay?
Yes.
So then we quickly go and have a look at the questions.
Actually, my way is to start with questions, because I thought if I start with question, I will have the survey after this. So if I have a survey reading, it will take my time. But I can start with questions and then look at the text. What do you think?
Okay. What? Right. Well, the survey, it takes about probably 1 minute. Okay. But then when you come here, you've got these 7 questions. And it says, in which text can you find information about the risks of feeding a child via an NG tube? Okay. Can you guess where it might be?
Feeding a child via a nasogastric tube.
We don't know. Okay, that's fine. We leave it. Next one. Calculating the length of tube that will be required for a patient. Length of tube. Calculating. Where do you think?
Yes. 2. B. It should be B.
Okay. So let's say B. Alternative forms of feeding may be more appropriate than NG. So in the indications.
Yes.
Probably D.
Yes.
Okay. So, but alternative forms. We choose this one. Who to consult over patients' liquid food requirements. Requirements. Who to consult. Probably
I think D.
D. Yes. Outward appearance of the tubes.
D.
The appearance. You know, the fine and the fine tubes and big tubes, and is that? I think it's probably B. But you say it's D or B or D?
Sorry, I have some disconnections, so I cannot understand.
Okay. Do you think it's B or D?
Which one? because for some seconds I have a disconnection.
Okay. Number 5, we have outward appearance.
C, I think.
See, okay. Knowing when it's safe to go ahead with the use of a tube for feeding. Safe when it is safe.
This is the procedure.
Or actually the flow chart.
Yes.
Yes, it's C. And how regularly different kinds of tubes need replacing. Okay. We didn't see that. Okay. Now
Yes.
we can go and check. So risks of feeding. Okay, let's go look. Do we have anywhere anything about risks? Okay. So um, useful in short term, avoid surgical procedure, device, more suitable issues. Okay. So the issues are aspiration, increased risk, damage. So that's it. Yes, the risks.
Yes.
So it's A. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Basically, that one is A. Now, if you can remember more of these,
Mhm.
calculating the length, okay, you said we had this, yeah? B.
Yes. B.
Alternative forms of feeding is probably D, yes? Or we can have a look
Yes.
to check and see if we have any. Uh, and this is the externally visible markings. You see, that is the externally visible. So one of the questions we saw was this one, yeah? It was B. Remember that?
External visible mark. Yes.
So one of the questions was this one. Okay, so alternative to this, alternatives, this is the procedure, so, and this is not, and then this one. Uh, Administering feeds or fluid via feeding tube. Feeds are ordered through a referral to the dietitian, so that someone, that was another question. When feeding, feeds must be delivered continuously through feeding pump, cannot be large volumes, feed bottles, express milk, um, and all feeds need to be monitored using a fluid balance chart. Oral feeding is appropriate. This must also be recorded. Child should be measured weight and recorded, reassessed and recorded daily.
Yes.
So did we have any alternative here? It talked about oral feeding. Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, let's go down to here. So the risk of feeding a child via NG tube is A. Calculating the length is B. When alternative forms of feeding may be more appropriate than NG tube.
Mhm.
Was it in D? I don't
D.
know.
Yes.
Um, we have to check that. Who to consult over a patient's liquid fluid requirements is definitely D. It was the nutritionist. The outward appearance of the tubes, we saw it. It was
Ye-
B. Knowing when it's safe to go ahead is C. How regularly different kinds of tubes need replacing? We didn't have that, yes? So we need this one, replacing and alternative forms. Let's go up. So it's for short-term use. Okay, it's for long-term use. Uh, estimate measurement. Okay. Insert fully confirmed document. Aspirate with a syringe. Okay. Competent clinician to do that. Okay. Text D. Right. What do you think? Where was it? So we have this one. How regularly different kinds of tubes need replacing. So that was again part B. One of them was long term, one of them was
Yes.
short term, if you remember.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. When
Yes.
alternative forms of feeding may be more appropriate than NG tube. Did we see that anywhere? Other forms of feeding?
Yes.
Yes. Where was it?
I think it was D.
D. Okay.
I think.
Okay. So when basically this is so what do you think? I mean, there is no right or wrong, but usually it's a good idea to quickly look at these A, B, C, D to see what is where. And we call this a survey, a quick survey. And with a quick survey, you might be able to answer 2 or 3 of these because some of them are so obvious. Okay. For
Yes.
example, the risks of feeding a child. Well, we saw that it was issues, so it is A. Calculating the length of tube. So we saw that it was B. Alternative forms of feeding, we don't know. But later we could see that it was in D. Who could consult over a patient's liquid food requirements? So that was D, but maybe we don't know at first. The outward appearance of the tube, so that was B, and it was obvious because it talked about the fine and wide. Knowing when it's safe to go ahead, this is so obvious that it is C. And how regularly different kinds of tubes need replacing. So different kinds of tubes was in B. So as you can see, sometimes with a simple survey, you can actually find out what is where. Okay.
Yes.
So that should take you about probably 5 minutes, but maybe even less.
As sorry, in this type of test, I normally can find almost 17 of answers. In the real exam also, I think last time I could find 17 or 18.
Good.
And if I had few minutes more, I could find 20, and it was enough to pass because I was 330 in the last exam.
Okay.
Okay, so I am thinking, do you agree we do another procedure, another way? For example, I start with question 8 and finish until the end of the text. When I can find from 8 to 20, I will have a actually view and overall understanding of text. And in maybe less than 5 minutes, I can find number 1 to 7. What do you think? Is it a good way or not?
It is not. It's absolutely the other way, and that is why the order is. And this is clearly we have we have discussed this a lot in the OET course. Basically, you probably know about Gestalt. Have you heard of Gestalt?
No, no, I didn't. I didn't understand because I had disconnection.
Okay.
A disconnection.
Have you ever heard of Gestalt?
Gestalt, yes, this name is familiar for me.
Okay. Gestalt is was both a linguist and also a psychologist. Okay, and a philosopher as well. So basically, Gestalt says we normally understand the whole of something and then the details. Okay.
Okay,
So
okay,
basically, our understanding is from the one entity and then looking at its details. And
okay,
if you remember, for example, when we want to give a lecture, we put
yes,
our first presentation is that these are the things we are going to talk about, and we give a list of the topics, and then we say, okay, now the first topic. Or even
yes,
in writing, we do the same thing. So we say this is the list of the discussions, or in a book we have a list of contents first, rather than an
yes,
index. So at the beginning of the book we have the content. At the end of the book we have the index.
yes,
Does that make sense? Yeah.
yes,
Okay. So basically, this is what we want. We want
yes,
to have an overview of the text. So we do a survey very quickly. We don't spend much time, maybe just 20 seconds or 30 seconds.
okay,
That's it. Just look at the different parts. What is it about? What are the headings? And
yes,
after you have done that, now let's see now uh, how we can answer these, and let's see if it is easier. What type of tube should you use for patients who need NG feeding for an extended period? Do we need to read?
okay. It's surely in part two, part B.
Okay, so we know where it is so
Yes,
quickly. Okay, and I can
yes,
actually say without seeing that it has a big one. Okay.
yes,
For long-term use, the fine bore, yes, for
yes,
long-term use. So the fine bore, the answer is fine bore. Okay,
yes,
agree.
yes.
What should you
And I
apply?
am sorry, I
Yes,
am a little bit obsessive. I don't know, is it an disadvantage for me? Sometimes I feel this is better to find the words. Not, I may know the answer, but I will try to find every words and make sure this is correct. And this is the exact form that is mentioned in the text, but I don't think I am not sure this is correct or not. And is it a reason that I cannot finish the text? I don't
hmm
know. What do you think?
yes, it's definitely a negative point for fast reading because basically you spend too much time on a question which might not be marked. It might be just a test question. So
Yes.
you spend too much time on this one. Remember,
So
yes,
yes.
it's better to see all the questions rather than seeing not some of them. Okay. So
Okay.
if
So
if
if
you
I
know,
can if I can guess with 990% actually certainty, I should write the answer without checking the answer in the text.
if you have seen it, yes, you just write it and you just put a mark here. Then come back later if you have time and go and check.
Yes,
Because while
yes,
you might be looking for another question, you actually see the answer. Okay.
yes,
You can see when I was looking for another question, I saw this fine bore, so I knew it is fine bore. Okay. So what should you apply to feeding tube to make it easier to insert? So probably a lubricant. Yeah, we know you need to go to where We have the insertion. Again, it's part B. But we go and look at it. What should you use to keep the tube in place temporarily? Okay, so we have to check
Yes.
temporarily. Keep the tube. Equipment should use initially to aspirate. Okay, what equipment to aspirate? You can underline this. Initial aspiration is unsuccessful. How long should you wait? Okay, how long and wait? And that is probably in part C. Yes?
So you suggest that I read all questions and then find all answers, right?
That is ideal. If you can remember your questions, then yes. Positioning the patient, okay. A second attempt. So that is probably again part B. And aspirate exits pH. Where should we go for this one? Part C. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, Advice for delivery of feeds via the small bowel. Okay. What device? Okay, it was a pump, I think, but we go and look at it. That is part D. Okay, so we have now, uh, we can now go and look at those. Okay, so if I say what type of tube, we type. Okay, we found it. It was fine bore.
Yes.
Uh, Easier to insert. Okay, what is that? Take in place temporarily. Initially to aspirate, unsuccessful, how long wait? Okay. Position, second attempt. Aspirate exceeds 5.5. Where should you take the patient to confirm the position of the tube? Probably X-ray. Huh? What device allows the delivery of feeds? Okay, here device to small bowel. Right. Shall we go and look?
Yes.
Okay, we go up to here. Mm, oh, okay, so we what we're looking at, uh, right? So that fine bore was the first one. Okay, we quickly scan, right? So what are we looking at?
The second question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Second question was
And lubricate the end of the
yes.
tube, okay, with a water-based lubricant. So we need to write there water-based lubricant. Okay, pass
Yes.
the tube, assist the passage, never advance, uh, secure the tube, okay, lightly secure the tube with tape, okay.
Lightly secure the tube with tape until the position has been checked.
So
Okay.
how do we fix it temporarily with tape, okay? So we've got some answers here then. If we come down, uh, okay, so fine bore, easier to insert, water-based lubricant, in
Lubricant,
place temporary, tape, okay?
tape.
And okay, initially
Okay.
to aspirate,
So,
unsuccessful, and how long to wait, and the position in the second attempt, and pH exceeds 5.5. These are all probably in the next part, that is part C, yeah? Okay, so we go there and see, right, initially, Aspirate with a syringe. Okay, so we first use a syringe. Okay. Okay. Now, what else was there?
The pH.
Okay, there was a pH of 5.5. Okay, but
Yeah.
above, if it is above 5.5, it says that it is not in the lung, but it doesn't confirm that it's gastric placement. If there is any
Yes.
concern, you should proceed to X-ray. Okay.
Yes.
Then, yeah, between 5 and 6, a second competent person checks the reading or retests. Okay. So, where are we here? Now, initially, aspirate a feeding tube. What do we use? A syringe. If it's
Yes.
unsuccessful, how long should we wait? We didn't find that. How should you position for the second attempt? We didn't see that. Exceeds 5.5, we should take them to the X-ray.
Yes.
What device allows the delivery in small bowel? We haven't checked that yet. So what are we missing? Uh, Unsuccessful, how long to wait, and what position? So if we fail, what should we do? Okay. So it's probably in the previous one, in part B here. Okay. Um, no, not here.
Uh, I am looking.
Yeah, it doesn't talk about failure. So let's go, yes, to the next part again. Right. So, okay, if it fails, okay, try to each of these techniques to help gain aspirate. Turn the child into left side, inject 1 to 5 milliliters of air, wait for 15 to 30 minutes before aspirating again, okay? So that's 15 to 30 minutes is the answer to that question. And then, if not working again, advance or withdraw tube by 1 to 2 centimeters. And then, and if you want to try again, what should we do?
Inspiration.
Okay, so if the aspirate is not obtained, we turn the child or infant onto left side. Okay, so we say turn onto left side and wait for 15 to 30 minutes. Okay, so we've got the answer to these. And for small bowel, uh, small bowel, we should do what? It should be delivered via a feeding pump. Okay. Okay, so we go down and we say, right, initially syringe, initial aspiration, unsuccessful. Wait before trying again. How much? How long? 15 to 30 minutes.
15 to 30 minutes.
Position a patient for second attempt.
Left.
Turn onto left side. Okay. That is
Yes.
X-ray department. What device? Feeding pump. Okay.
Yes.
So basically, we had to go back 2 or 3 times but each time we know where to go because we roughly know what is where.
Yes.
Okay, now let's go to the next one. If feeding tube isn't straight, when you unwrap it, you should do what? Okay, when it's not straight, where do you think it is?
Yes.
Uh, if it's not a straight, what should we do? It's probably in the procedure in part B. Patients are more likely to experience what if they need long-term feeding via a tube? Long-term feeding, what do they
Yes.
experience? So they experience something. Okay. If you need to give the patient a standard liquid feed, the tube to use is what in size? Standard liquid feed and what size? So basically, you can write for yourself. You can say, okay, uh, if not straight, what should I do? Okay. If
Yes.
long-term feeding, what they experience. For a standard liquid feed, what size? Uh, at once, if the patient is coughing badly or is experiencing probably shortness of breath, okay? So, if a patient is receiving what via a feeding tube, you should replace the feed bottle after 4 hours, okay? So, uh, receiving what? We should remove the feed bottle after 4 hours. So if you can remember all of these, that's fine. If not, then we go one by one. But uh, if it's not a straight, when you unwrap it, you should do what? Where can I find this?
The feeding tube is not straight when you. I think this is procedure
Okay,
15. Can find, yes, here. See.
okay, right. Now, so this is okay.
I can see the standard feed there.
Okay, so this is the check the tube is intact and stretch it to remove any shape retained. So we have to stretch it basically, okay? And
Yes.
then you said which one? Uh,
Standard feeds.
where is that?
Uh, line 3. The the first line here. Standard feeds and
Okay, tube sizes for 6 are used for standard fits, okay? 7 for high density. So tube size of 6, okay. And we have here severe coughing and breathlessness. Okay, so we've got 3
yes.
answers here. So
Yes.
we can go down and we say, where were we? Okay, if the tube isn't straight, you should stretch it. The patient is more likely to experience what if they need long-term feeding via tube? We don't know. If you need to give a patient a standard liquid feed, your tube to use is uh, smaller in size because it's 6, okay, or finer in size. Um, and here experiencing breathlessness, and we don't know what that 4 hours, but yeah, that one also it was 6, but we need to say is finer or smaller or what word we should use because the word needs to be in the text.
Yes.
Okay, so um, sizes of this, high density tubes come in range of lengths. Okay. Uh, Okay. Um, so it might be mentioned somewhere else as well. Okay. So
Yes.
uh, let's go here. Okay. So administering fluid via feeding tube. Feeds are ordered through referral when feeding directly to small bowel. Uh, feed bottles must be changed every 6 hours or every 4 hours for expressed breast milk. So we've got this last question, expressed breast milk every four
Yes.
hours. Um, all feeds should be monitored. Oral feeds is appropriate. Measured and weighed before feeding. Use of feeding method be reassessed, evaluable, recorded daily. Okay. Um, so 16 is a stretch it. You should stretch it. Patients are more likely to experience what if they need long-term feeding via a tube? Okay. So this one, the tube to use is 6 FR in size, okay? So that's for a standard liquid. I said finer, but no, we shouldn't say that because it is not in the text. So the tube to use is 6 FR in size. Uh,
Yes.
if coughing or breathlessness, or is experiencing breathlessness, if a child is
Yes.
receiving um, expressed breast milk via a feeding tube, you
Yes.
should replace it every 4 hours. So the only
Yes.
one which is we don't know is patients are more likely to experience what if they need long-term feeding via a tube. What are they more likely to experience? Okay.
Expectations.
Uh, mm, bu- bu- bu. Uh, I have a feeling it might be here with prolonged use, increased risk of gastroesophageal reflux.
But here not mentioned directly. Long
Okay, longer. Yes. Okay, let's
for
have a look.
long for long term use, maybe here.
Okay, it says it should be changed every 30 years. Uh, what they might actually uh, not here.
I am searching. Not here.
Well, I think it is gastroesophageal reflux with prolonged use.
Uh-huh.
I think it is this one. Yeah, Gord or GR. Right.
Okay.
So if a child is receiving, okay, it is not this one. This one was, yeah, patients are more likely to experience gastroesophageal reflux if they need long-term feeding via a tube. We can check the answers. Okay. So that was fine bore, water-based lubricant, tape, syringe, 15 to 30 minutes, turn onto left side, an
Yes.
X-ray or radiology, feeding pump, stretch, G, gastroesophageal reflux, 6 FR or 6 French,
Yes.
breathlessness, and express breast milk. Okay?
Yes.
Right. This is basically, so what we did was, what was the process that we did? Um, uh,
Yes.
this is basically this suggested process. Survey the text first, okay?
It should
Then
take 1 minute or
but
30 seconds.
as quickly as possible. Just different people are different, but don't spend too much time. You just want to be familiar. What is what?
Yes.
There are four texts, and what are they? Okay.
Yes.
NG2 in children. The second one is size and procedure. The third one is flow chart showing to make sure where the tube is inserted. And part D is a special liquids or um, basically other matters.
Yes.
So then after surveying the text, and it takes really 30 seconds, maybe even less. After that, what do? We go to question.
We should. Yes.
Okay. Check questions and guess. Right. We don't want to do them one by one. Uh, if you can guess any one of them, just write it. If you suspect, write it and check later. Just put a mark next to it. But do them quickly as possible. Maybe you can do two or three very quickly. So then mark the ones you are not sure about. Okay. So
So
basically,
you suggest to read all questions, right? Not 20 questions, 7 questions together, right?
yes, yes,
And yes. Okay.
section by section, as much as you can.
Ex-
Okay.
Okay.
So try to read them, read the 7 questions, and then if if there is one that you are not certain, then you can actually go back and look. It happens a lot when you're looking for an answer, you see another answer. Okay.
Yes.
So and then after this, so you mark the ones you're not sure about and check them one by one. So what is the next part? The next part is the next set of question. Basically, read the questions in section 2 and mark or highlight the keywords. So it's better to look at all of them and guess where they might be. And check the place with scanning. or skimming. So again, if you if you're nearly certain there is an answer, write it but put a mark next to it. Okay, and check it if you have time, because if you don't have time, leave that as it is. Okay.
Okay.
It's better than writing nothing, or it's better than spending
Yes.
too much time.
Yes.
So a 90% certainty is better than zero.
Yes.
So then the next part, again, we go and section 3, uh, again, um, uh, check keywords and decide on the type that is the grammatically correct word. So you need to decide whether you want a noun, a verb, basically what it is that you're looking for. Are you looking for a number? Are you looking for a size? Okay. So that's basically what we did is when we were looking at where was it? Okay, when we were looking at this, we knew that this is a size, okay, here.
Yes.
And experience something they need to experience in long-term feeding. If it's not a straight, what should we do with it? So we need a verb here, okay? Coughing badly or experiencing something. So this is experiencing, it should be a noun. So
Yes.
we chose breathlessness. If a child is receiving what? You should replace the bottle every 4 hours. So that was expressed breast milk.
Yes.
Basically, and it's always, if you write milk, it's wrong. Okay?
Yes.
This is important. You use the nouns with adjectives if they have adjectives.
Yes.
So if you write breast milk, it is okay. Expressed breast milk is absolutely fine. Okay. So that is no. What I'm saying is this last two questions, they were easy, weren't they? So if the patient is coughing badly or is experiencing breathlessness,
Yes.
or if a child is receiving what, so if you don't have enough time to see these two questions, which are so easy, you've lost. So that's what we don't want to happen. And remember, if you spend too much time on a question, maybe that question is not even marked. So
Yes.
there's no point.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So basically, that is the logical way of doing this. I've heard a lot of people say that we start from number 8, and
Oh,
all the teachers were actually laughing, and they were saying, "Oh, that's a joke."
yes.
So no, this is absolutely against any logic. Um,
Yes.
so, I mean, if you noted, once we knew the format or the layout of the text, it is much easier to go and actually
Fine.
find. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I haven't, in real exam, I haven't tried to start from number 8, but I was always thinking about that. And you disagreed with this. And second thing that is different from my procedure, from the method that I have chosen, um, I had chosen is you are trying to find every section by section by section, not first question and second and third.
Absolutely, because I don't want to go up and down too much.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Uh, so
I should try to actually practice whatever you asked me, and if possible, let me have some materials to practice it and say the actually outcome.
okay, sure, of course.
Okay.
Okay. Shall we do part B?
Yes.
Okay. Now, part B is reading for gist or function. So it is um, um, a slightly higher cognitive experience or cognitive level.
Yeah.
Basically, in the first part, we were looking at words and details. Okay. But in
Yes.
this
Sorry.
section, yes.
Sorry. May I ask you just 2 minutes break?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yes. I
Uh,
think our session will be 2 hours, right?
about, yes.
Yes. So let me have a 1 or 2 minutes break, and I can come back. Is it
Okay,
okay? Thanks.
absolutely.
Thanks.
Yes, sure, sure.
Okay. Thanks.